Welcome to the Dr. Leadership Show, where we take a look at how you approach your work and personal life and how we can make the most out of both of them. A weekly get-together where we get real about self-improvement and development as we all make this not-so-easy journey through life. Our discussions will cover ideas and concepts from how to grow your career to how to lead your family towards prosperity and happiness. We don't pretend to know it all, and the doctor is the first to be vulnerable, discussing his own weaknesses, both past and present. This is about growing together and having some fun while we discuss what is happening in the crazy world we live in and how to make the most of it. Let's strive for awesome together. Let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dr. Leadership Podcast. Hope you're having an awesome day. It's Super Bowl Sunday when I'm recording this. Hope everybody's excited for Taylor Swift's boyfriend's going to an Usher concert today. You can't make it up, man. The Super Bowl now is officially a Taylor Swift event. It's not about the football game. Oh my God, don't get me started. I'm a little feisty today. Hope everybody's having a great day. Not sure who you're rooting for. I'm going to root for the 49ers because we got a couple of Iowa college kids on there. We got Brock Purdy, was the quarterback for Iowa State, who, by the way, never was able to beat the Iowa Hawkeyes. My Iowa Hawkeyes, just saying. And George Kittle. Actually, George Kittle beat Brock Purdy's team one year. They were in college one year together, not together, but at the same time. Kittle was a senior and Brock was a freshman. And it's funny, so Brock was Mr. Irrelevant, right? The last person taken in the draft. Kittle was not taken early either. He was like a 4th or 5th rounder. Woo! San Francisco, man. Shanahan, he can see some things that others can't, evidently. But I hope you're having a great week. We'll know at time of release who won the Super Bowl. So if you're a Chiefs fan, I'm sorry. I'm just tired of them. God. And the reason is because of what today's episode's about, and I'll touch on in a minute why I'm tired of them. And if not, I hope that the 49ers have won. We'll know soon. I just hope it's a good game. And I'm excited to watch Usher. Hopefully it'll be a good halftime show. They need to bring back rock and roll bands for halftime shows that play the music. I mean, Prince was the last one that just killed it. The Stones were good. Creed was awesome way back when. They've talked about bringing them back. You got to bring in big bands, man, that play live that are used to those big arena crowds. No more of this mouth-syncing, lip-syncing, fake dance crap that is no good. Evidently, I'm having a little fire-up morning, but anyway. Hope you checked out last week's episode, which was, get your ass in the car, right? And it's a theory on life that you may not be the best at anything, but you got to get involved. You don't have to drive every deal, but you got to get the ass in the car. And you had early access to that a week and a half ago, if you joined the membership site. You can find that out at www.drleadershipresults.com. Click on subscriptions. Join the membership. Had a couple this last week join up, so I appreciate that. It keeps clicking up. Not retirement money yet, but, it'll pay for a coffee and a donut every once in a while. Appreciate that. And again, you can send us interaction. You can interact with us. You can ask questions. You can give us ideas for content. We can be reached at our email address, which is drleadershipresults@gmail.com. Send us a note. Let us know. So lots of great feedback on last week's episode. It was an impactful event in my life that I talked about. Get your ass in the car, told that story, because it really brought on the bigger picture in life, right? And I no longer felt, let's just get by, but let's start really making an impact on my future, is what that event was kind of about. Like, I was really proud of myself. And if you didn't hear last week's episode, I'd been rep of the year. I went in and did my business plan to the owner of the company when I was back on the streets 34 years ago now, and said, hey, I closed 85% of the business I was involved in last year. And his response was not, God, you're the greatest thing my company's ever hired, which my little fragile 24-year-old brain wanted to hear. But instead he said, I had no idea I needed to find your replacement, because nobody's that good, son, not even me. You aren't in on the deals. You don't have to drive every deal, but your ass better be in the car. That was the impetus of that engagement, and it really had an impact on me. And as I was thinking about today's topic, like, how do I want to spin off this thing? The Super Bowl came to mind and a bunch of other stuff. And the reason I'm not a Kansas City Chiefs fan, I was way back when, but man, it's a trend to be a Chiefs fan because Taylor Swift's in the skybox. And look, she's famous. I don't care. I want to watch a football game. I don't want to have the shots of Taylor in the Sky Suite. I don't care that her plane has left Tokyo's concert en route to the Super Bowl. So what? Oh, funny, I did hear a funny meme this week, though. I got to share it. And it was when Taylor was in Tokyo, they said the only thing further away from the Super Bowl than Taylor Swift right now is the Carolina Panthers. That's awesome. Panthers fan for years when I was down there. And man, it was like being a Cubs fan for 100 years. Just couldn't get it done. So we'll see. But they were just awful this year. So anyway, I was thinking about today's episode, and I was trying to put a nice wrapper on what really encompasses being a leader in anything in life, right? What does it take to be, and I don't mean leading a team, but a leader in whatever you're doing, a top-notch performer, really good at it, successful. It can tie into leadership too, but I was like, what does it take? What does it take to be successful? What does it take to be happy? What does it take to continue to grow? What does it take to survive in this world we have today? And the answer suddenly came to me. And I use this statement a lot. All of a sudden it hit me in the brain and said, well, dummy, talk about this. And many times I use it as a joke. But it is this in life. And it's be a trendsetter, not a follower. And I'm going to go off and talk in more detail about this. But what it really means in today's world, trends are more rampant than ever. Hell, somehow we got kids to think they should eat Tide Pods 4 or 5 years ago. Remember that trend? Social media is just awful. Good God. Or how about the 2,000% increase in people that are confused on what their gender is? There are people out there that, now let me state this clearly. There are people out there that are really fighting this disorder. It's a mental health disorder, dysphoria, gender dysphoria. And I am very sorry that people are really hindered with that. But suddenly the number of people identifying as transgender shoots up 2,000% in a 36-month period. Guess what that is? That's social media poison. That's people trying to fit in. That's all it is. They're trying to get attention. Let's face it, all trends are about attention. So I just give those extreme examples, but everything is trendy in the world. Social media today, it is easy to fall into all sorts of, well, air quotes here, bad trends that you're following. So today's episode is about being a trendsetter instead of a follower. Cut your own path. Let's think about social media on our young ladies in the world. I have 2 daughters. I have a wonderful wife, wonderful 2 daughters. I've got great nieces. But as a girl, you're held to all other people's BS, standards all the time. Got to be trendy. How do you look? Am I using the right eyeshadow? Am I doing the right eye makeup? How about fake eyelashes? When did those come back? Hey, the 60s called and want their glue-ons back, ladies. Good gracious. Some people are having them stitched onto their head permanently. I mean, what? Be happy with yourself, man. How you look, how you dress, how you think. Don't fall for it. Be yourself in life and focus on things that are good trends to start. I got a few listed here. Be a good friend. A lot of people aren't good friends. What they do is they are friends of convenience. They're good friends with you until you're being a good friend and point out that, hey, I just want you to notice something, that I just want to give you some feedback, and you give them some constructive criticism. All of a sudden that friendship breaks down. I know people that cannot hear anything other than they are perfect. That's a bad trend, man. Be a trendsetter. Be stoic and be able to handle. Remember, feedback is a gift if you choose to accept it. But be a great friend. Don't be toxic. There's a lot of toxic people in this world. My wife and I discuss this often. You just got to put up barriers around people that just bring you down, that are just bummers. Wah-wah people, right? You got to be a trendsetter, not be toxic. Don't play victim. I mean, if it doesn't go their way, everybody's a victim. It's the other reason I don't like the Kansas City Chiefs. Kelsey turned in his man card doing the little heart handy things up to Taylor in in the skybox when he scored a touchdown 2 weeks ago. I'm like, I'm done with him. I'm sorry, man. There's certain things you just don't do as a dude. That's one. Get the love later on, afterwards. Right now, stay focused. I think it's stupid. I think the trend of doing these stupid end zone parties are dumb anyway. It's your job. Congratulations on doing your job. Imagine if my salespeople came in and said, close the deal, and they start chicken walking across and slamming their briefcase down on the ground and looking for all special attention. No, man, congratulations. You did your job. You're supposed to score a touchdown. But don't play victim. Make effort. That's a trend to set. Give your best effort towards something in this world today. That'd be a hell of a trend to set. Think about that. We're going to keep trying. Fall off the horse, I'm going to try again. That is a really good trend to set. I talked about how to dress and those types of things. I'm going to tell you a funny story about me. Not funny about me, but funny I was involved. About 4 or 5 years ago, I was at a sales leadership meeting, and I am a very classic dresser. I wear sport jackets. I at this point, I had nothing but cuffed slacks because cuff slacks are the deal. You look very, very professional in cuff slacks, but non-cuff slacks had come into being, and there were 3 other leaders in this meeting with me, and they were giving me a little poo-poo on my cuff slacks. Hey man, you need to go to non-cuff slacks. And I said, so you mean I need to go to those really uncomfortable looking slacks because you think they're hip and you think my slacks aren't hip? And I said, I actually said this, I'm a trendsetter, not a follower. Cuffs will be back if they're not in. And actually I went out to Brooks Brothers at that point and showed them online that how come 75% of their slacks are cuffed? Well, that's old man's clothes. Well, no, that's successful people's clothes. It's very high-end clothing. And I own a lot of it. Makes me feel good. That's my little pay for my success. So anyway, I got guff, me, about not having slacks without cuffs and without pleats. My wife is younger. She's like, I don't like pleats. And I'm like, well, I like to sit down without stuff getting pinched. That's what I like. So I'm being rather thoughtful to my own comfort about it. And also, cuffs look sweet. So what has transpired now on clothing is I see guys, I travel all the time. These people show up in these sweats that have like the little shrinked wristbands that you're supposed to have on like coats are now on their ankles. And you can see their ankles before you can see their shoes. And the tight pants have gotten tighter and tighter and shorter. Wingtips with no socks showing 4 inches of ankle in your slacks. And I'm supposed to join in with that? That's how crazy this world is. But somebody was a trendsetter and tried it and looked stupid. Guess what? Y'all look stupid with those pants. Be a grown-up. Good God. I look back in the parachute pants of the late 80s that I was wearing out and about, and I go, oh my God, how did that happen? Members-only jackets. I had one of those. Everybody had a members-only jacket with the 2-button neck thing that you never buttoned. Shame, shame, shame. Cut your own path in the world. So anyway, I did buy some non-cuff pants, and I do wear those because it's more casual, and the world is more casual now in the business environment. But 2 weeks ago, I was out in my big facility in Boulder, and I took one pair cuffed and one pair uncuffed. And guess what? Didn't hear anything from anybody about cuffed or uncuffed. But I don't care if they do say something. And cuffs are back. Remember bell bottoms? Those were back for ladies. Still are. So don't make fun of the bell bottoms from the 70s that I wore at the playground. They're back. Trends come and go, man. I had a neighbor that was CFO. This is a long time ago. It was 20 years ago when I was back in Des Moines, or I hadn't left Des Moines yet. And he was the chief financial officer of Yonkers Brothers, which was bought by Saks, and high-end clothier. And he actually told me one time, he says, the men in the men's department every 2 years switch how they dress. They go suits and tie for 2 years, and then they go to casual for a year, and then they go suits and ties for 2 years, and then casual. I go, why do you do that? He goes, because that's how we sell all of the different portfolio. We have to sell our more casual clothes, so every 2 years we'll have build up product, and we'll put our staff in that because everybody thinks, well, the staff in the men's department knows what's going on, so I need to dress like them, so I need to buy more casual stuff. And then they switch to the suits because then they need the margin. You know, a high-end men's suit costs about $60 to make. And some people will drop $800,000, $900,000, $2,000 on these suits. Some fabrics are more expensive than others, but there's lots of margin there. So he said, all we do is we take the human factor, the weakness of our brains, and our desire to be liked. And he goes, we shove people in suits and ties, and then our margin goes up for a year and a half. And then we can get more aggressive in other products. So people are manipulating us every single day on these trends. They got us to eat Tide Pods, right? They got people to try the hottest chip and the hottest nut, and people filming themselves. It's just dumber than hell. We're like just a bunch of idiots. Again, bell bottoms are back. So anyway, if you want to be successful, secure, and free in life, think about being a trendsetter around some of these things. So it's not the easy route. It's not the fitting in that lead to people being the best at something. It's those that are the outliers, those that create new ways to do things that are the most successful in the world. So here's one for you. The world today, I talk about it all the time, accountability. There's a lot of people that aren't accountable in this world. Our current government, it says they aren't accountable for anything bad going on right now. It's all someone else's fault. Both parties are guilty of it. It's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. So be accountable. Don't be a victim. Set that trend. Good things are going to happen for you if you set that trend. Here's one. Talk about this all the time. I sent my daughters 2 messages this week. 2 messages via text. Didn't hear back from either one of my daughters on this. They're getting tired of it. They want me to start a new trend other than send them reminders. Be a saver, not a spender. Don't be a spender because of fear of missing out. FOMO. I'm hip. I know what fear of missing out is. FOMO. FOMO. The average person at the age of 50 only has about $100,000 saved for retirement. Sorry to tell all of you, it doesn't matter how rich your tastes are, but that is 4 to 5 times lower than it needs to be at 50 years of age. You need to have $500,000 saved at 50. And then if the market performs okay, in the next 7 to 10 years, you'll have $1 million. That plus Social Security, plus limiting your spending, you can retire comfortably and live out under the sunshine. You better work on this right now. You better start being a trendsetter for your own well-being and take these things seriously. Tell you another way you save is don't go buy straight-bottomed pants. Keep your cuff pants on. Don't go out and change your whole wardrobe every time something changes. And put that money in the bank. Not in the bank, actually invest it in some sort of fund. $100,000 as a 50-year-old. That is a bad trend. And the reason is the trend is lots of people go out to dinner and lots of people have a car that's really expensive. And lots of people buy too much house. And lots of people have to be seen at every event. Lots of people are going out to dinner 4 nights a week, driving that too expensive a car and a house, and everybody looks at them and go, man, they're really successful from the outside. Look at that beautiful house. I saw them out to dinner last week. Look at that beautiful car they drive. What they don't understand is that they're in a really bad trend called being up to their eyebrows in debt. You are not building wealth, you're costing wealth. The sooner you start, the sooner you reach the goal. You need as many years as possible. All you young people, if you're 25 years old and you aren't figuring out how to put 15, 20% of your gross earnings away into 401k and other investments that can use compound interest, you're on the wrong trend train, man. You got to get the trend train on the right track. Here's one, be willing to do what others are unwilling to do. Successful people do that. Successful people do what unsuccessful people don't like to do. Successful people create their own trends. They create the trend, I'm going to be really, really diligent about saving money, about living within my means, about concentrating on my future instead of my present. The present's important to live as well, but it's about balance. You have got to be focused to this all the time, or it isn't going to be in your favor. Here's a trend, be giving. I talk about this all the time too. Be accountable for your own actions and help those that are truly less fortunate. I have no willingness to help somebody that's put themselves in these bad situations over and over again. I am very willing to help people that have been given a bad deck of cards. Mental health issues, abusive spouse, a disaster that hits them, tornado takes their home out, whatever might be the case. Very giving there. I'm very fortunate. My wife and I are very fortunate. We try to give a lot. I need to even be more focused to that. Again, I don't have all this figured out. I'm not saying be like me. I'm not trying to say follow everything I do, because I make lots of mistakes. Made 3 or 4 already this morning. I'll make 3 or 4 the rest of the day. But the thing is don't make big rock mistakes. These things that I'm talking about. Here's a life trend. Do you know that 58% of all marriages end in divorce? How about be a trendsetter there? And as a spouse, with your spouse, work on staying married. It's hard. Be loyal. That's a big one. Huh? Talk. Don't go out boozing with the boys. You know, my dad gave me a piece of advice when I got married the first time. He said, if you're going to the bar, go with your wife. That way you'll always leave the bar with your wife. Because alcohol makes you do stupid things. I practiced that my whole life. Did not go out boozing with the boys. My first wife, unfortunately, didn't return that favor. That's okay. I'm in a much better spot. But if you are going to be a successful marriage, you have to work on it all the time. And it ain't easy. You got to have common financial goals. You got to have common life goals. You got to have common thoughts about giving and supporting others. You got to have certain things that you think the same on. And then my wife and I have things that we completely disagree on. Or I should say, there's things that my wife is wrong about. She listens to these eventually, so I'll get a text on that one. I'm just teasing, honey. Want to be the best at work? How about starting a trend for just yourself, but showing others, showing the newbies? Work on self-development instead of making excuses. People, losers, make excuses all the time. They simply will not take accountability. Be a trendsetter and take accountability. Remember, accountability is when you raise your hand if it's good or bad outcomes. It's real easy to be the one that's getting the praise. Look at me, look at me, look at me. It's not real easy when you go, man, I screwed this one up. Raise your hand and say, I want to apologize, or it won't happen again. Be trendy there. All these things, if you concentrate on not keeping up with the Joneses, but being your own benefactor based on the actions you're going to take, life's going to go really, really good for you. That's how you're a leader in any attribute in life, is concentrate on what needs to be concentrated on. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. My wife has a good saying. There's easy hard or hard hard in life. If you do a lot of things right, it's an easier hard to be successful in life and to reach your goals. Still not easy. I didn't say it was going to be easy. I said it was going to be worth it. That's another great analogy, or another great, not analogy, a statement. But my wife says this all the time. She said it today. There's easy hard and there's hard hard. If you're toxic, if you aren't a good friend, if you aren't a good spouse, if you don't save, if you don't concentrate on putting money away, if you don't avoid racking up debt, life's going to be really hard. But if you do all those other things right, life's still going to throw you curveballs. There's going to be illnesses. There's going to be loss of loved ones. There's going to be setbacks in life. There's going to be things that don't go right. But it's going to be an easier hard. It's up to you. So you can be a trend follower and look like you're in on the in crowd and look cool and look like you're having a great time. And then when you're 50 years old, you look down and you go, I got $100,000 saved for retirement, and I'm living a lifestyle that's going to require $3 million saved, or I got to work until I'm 75 years old. It's up to you, man. Up to each and every one of you. See, every decision has an outcome. We make choices, and choices make us. Now, I'm not saying don't have fun in life. My wife and I vacation very, very well. We love it. We're excited about retirement. We're trying not to wish time away, but we can see it. We're looking at the hood of the car, not the horizon, on when we're going to be able to hang it up if we want to. Because we did a lot of things that weren't popular or weren't easy as far as decision making. We worked our ass off on savings. We really did. We were tied at the. My first relationship in life gave me 2 beautiful kids, but that was not part of our mojo. I couldn't do that to save my life because it was all about them. They needed things. They needed to buy things. They needed to look the coolest. I bought the biggest houses and everything. And I look back, and the best thing that ever happened to me was my divorce, because it allowed me to reset and get really centered. My wife did a wonderful job. She trained me well. Thanks, honey. You want to retire early, like I'm going to be able to do. The trend you need to follow here is want to be in frugal. And again, don't keep up with those Joneses. They are the enemy of your life. They are the enemy of your well-being. You don't need to have the newest clothes. You don't need to go back and forth between cuffed and uncuffed pants. You don't need to get new suits every 2 years. You don't need to have a house in the right neighborhood. You don't need to belong to the golf course. You don't need. That's how you have to go through this life, to be a trendsetter, not a follower. The trend that you're following, or that you're catching on to or jumping in on, typically that trend's about to end. It's like good stock picks, right? I've talked about that before. I can remember in the dot-com eras, late 90s, early 2000s, sitting around, and I had a bunch of friends that were pharmaceutical reps, and they were killing on paper at 30 years old, 32, 34 years old, they had $500,000. I mean, you're doing the math and you're going, they're going to be worth $10 million at 60 years old. This is unbelievable. So I dabbled in a few of those stocks. Guess what? .com collapsed because the trend was to believe that these companies are all going to be great, instead of looking at, hey, they aren't producing any revenue and they aren't making any money. And then boom, it went away. Just like that. And those friends that were speaking so high of themselves and look how rich I am at 30 years old at the cocktail party, a year later are going, I've got $25,000 put away because I put all of it in that trendy stock. Be diversified in life. Don't jump at the trends. Life is hard, folks. Life's really, really hard. And the best way to take it on is to stay focused on your individual goals and understand what a goal means. So there's expectations and there's goals. Goals are lofty. That's the kind of the dreamy stuff. Expectations are the minimums. I said this in my training a couple weeks ago. I want you all to be the best reps out there. Those are goals. But the expectations is nobody has their phone open. Nobody has their laptops open. We're going to go through this training and we're going to develop ourselves. And everybody kind of their eyebrows raised and stuff. And I go, that's a minimum expectation. If I see things not going on there, you're going to have a conversation with me and you aren't going to like where that goes. That's a bad trend to be on, having to talk to me when I'm using my deep voice. So take on life. This is not hard. It's an easy hard. If you follows all these trends and you get after this thing. And suddenly you'll look down at 55 years old and go, man, I'm really glad I took that on. It isn't easy, but it's worth it. And when you realize the worth it mindset, you're going to get to be awesome. And then when you get to 60 years old, you know what's awesome? Retirement. Be awesome. Keep that shit up. Talk next week.